Hey guys, in this video we're going to be talking about how to help manage any sort of fear you might be having. And in my opinion, a lot of these fears that we have are ultimately linked to a fear of death on some level, right? So, for example, a fear of rejection, initially if we fear being rejected by somebody, right? We may think, oh, the reason I fear rejection is because I'm afraid that, you know, they're not gonna like me. And, if they don't like me, then, that's gonna make me feel sad because I like them, right? But if we think about this on a deeper level, the whole reason why we even have that fear of rejection is because if we think back to the ways we lived for hundreds of thousands of years in our hunter-gatherer groups, it's that fear of rejection that actually kept us safe, right? Because if we did get rejected and somebody did have an adverse reaction and didn't like us, and they went around telling everybody else in the tribe, that they didn't like us or whatever it is, then that could put us at risk at being abandoned by the tribe. And then if we were abandoned by the tribe, well then ultimately we would have a much lower chance at surviving, since we do not have access to the same resources as everybody else does, right? And ultimately that all comes down to our need to survive or our fear of dying, right? And same kind of thing with, maybe a fear of disapproval, similar kind of thing. You don't want to be disapproved, or else again the tribe might abandon you. And then same for fear of abandonment. This is usually caused when you are younger and your caregiver does not give you sufficient security and love and affection, and has not given you they have not signaled to you enough that you do matter and that you will be a part of the tribe and the community, right? And since they never got that full approval and full acceptance from their caregivers, then that can leave them with this sense that they're going to be abandoned because they never actually felt fully accepted before, right? So they don't have sufficient security within themselves to actually feel safe in the tribe, right? And if they don't feel safe in the tribe and if they don't feel approved by everybody, well then once again that could put them at risk at being abandoned by their caregivers or the tribe, and ultimately make them more prone to death, right? So one way to think about all of this is, do I have a fear of death in the present moment, or is my survival threatened in any way in the present moment? And if it isn't, well then that can help us alleviate a lot of these different fears that we have, right? Because if we know that the main root cause of a lot of these fears is for our survival, and if our survival is not threatened in the present moment, then this can help, signal to our body that, hey, it is okay to let go of these. There is no, real threat in the present moment, and all of these are just essentially outdated survival mechanisms that no longer serve their purpose, right? And I think this is also why a lot of people struggle with letting go a lot of these fears and anxieties, is because, it's not as easy as just saying, oh, I want to let this go, and then you try breathing in or doing some sort of meditation, and then it just goes away, right? Maybe that can help a little bit, but what we need to do is to be able to tell ourselves and convince ourselves that, hey, like, these fears are no longer useful. They no longer serve their purpose anymore, right? Because it would be very detrimental if we could drop any sort of fear or drop any sort of anxiety instantly, right? Because for all our body knows, it's that anxiety and it's that fear that's helping us stay alive, right? And by recognizing that, hey, that fear is actually not keeping us alive anymore. Maybe it did in the past, and maybe it had its purpose in the past, right? However, it no longer, serves that same purpose in our present moment, right? It essentially has no more use to it. So, anyways, I hope you guys found this demonstration helpful. And yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.